This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. If you want to continue in the rabbit hole, continue watching the video with me. But if you don't want to know the ugly truth, click off this video now. Hello, everyone. We're going to be talking about the first responders. This is going to go deep, and it gets a little bit complicated. This isn't going to be, let's see here. It's not going to be easy to explain how important this is. I want you to think of this. How do I want to put this? I want you to think about how important it is that the first responders are the most trustworthy, believable people in order for us to go forward with a trial for Bryan Kohberger or any individual. So in this situation, take Bryan's name out. Let's use suspect, right? And if we can't trust those very first responders, are they the bad apples that ruin the whole bunch? Let's find out together. Now, this very first gentleman, give me a 1 if you can hear me good before we keep going. Now, this is a live. Welcome all my beautiful starlights. If you want to watch this and it be edited so that there's no interruptions, you can just focus on the information, please feel free to go back and rewatch the edited version, because that is really going to help us out so much that you truly understand what I'm about to share with you. So thank you so much, Sarah. Hi, Sassy and Nettie and Joyful and Jelaine. I said Jelaine. Hi, Jill Elaine. Lucy Lou, Cat H, Deborah Martina Lewis, Miss Joyful Dolphin. How are you, my beautiful? Thank you, mods, so much for just always showing up. You do such a beautiful job. We all love you. The Archer and the Empress Tarot. Good to see you all. Now, the winner of our January 11/11 True Crime Family Drawing was Jamie, Jamie. Nothing else with it, just Jamie. I'm going to give this person until, I would say, Monday, my time, noon. And if I haven't heard from them by then, I will be redrawing. So I still have everybody's name in the jar. And if this person doesn't seem to get the message, I posted on the community bulletin board. I am butter talking today. Just saying. All right, you guys. Are you ready for this? Because this gets deep. But if you don't know this, you don't know what we are truly up against and how weak. And when I say weak, I'm talking about standing on the tip of a toothpick, okay? Weak the prosecution's case really is. There's a weak link or two, okay? Now, I'm going to try my best to give you all the information and let you sort through it. So the first responder, Deputy Haynes Nunes. Think of that time where it's now noon, 11:58, and the responders show up at the scene at 1122 King Road. Okay? This is the gentleman here. And he was one of them. There were two. There may have been more, but I know of two. And let's go here. And it talks about this gentleman. If you go to Exhibit A, Statement of Brett Payne, he himself validates that we've got the right person. All right, so we're going to go down to page 2, even though it's page 3 because we have the redacted. And let's look here. Where is it? Right at the beginning here. All right. I then followed OFC Smith upstairs to the 3rd floor of the residence. The 3rd floor consists of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, hereafter Goncalves' room. I later learned, parentheses, from review of Officer Noon's body camera, that there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. So if you look right here, we have Officer Noon's body camera. Well, Officer Noon has had his body camera for a few years, and in the last few months before the murder, there has become something very important that involves, in a different case, Officer Noon and his body camera. Welcome, the Mad Maven 1 to Starlights. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And Lucy Lou, who welcome to Starlights. For those of you that are like, I can't afford, oh, the page is not centered. Thank you. For those of you that can't afford a membership, don't fret. We will be able to gift you one over time. It does take time. We do not get to choose who receives the gifts. YouTube does that. But we'll gift until you guys get what you feel, till you get what you want. So let's go over that again. I then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the 3rd floor of the residence. The 3rd floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bathroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, hereafter Goncalves' room. I later learned from a review of Officer Noon's body camera. There was a big dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. So obviously Officer Noon's, right, is one of the first responders. He also is the gentleman here. Deputy Noons is the one that is transporting Koberger to trial. Hey, Dog Mom. How are you, lovely? Hey, Cat H. The second person is first responder that was with him was Deputy Shane Gunderson. Now, if you look here, this is back in 2016. It just says the Moscow Police Department has had an increased number of counterfeit bills being passed along local businesses and scams being run by nefarious individuals with less than honorable intentions. And it goes into what Deputy Shane does, or Gunderson, I should say. It says, our crime prevention and school resource officer, Shane Gunderson, will gladly offer advice on prevention and assist in creating a safer environment for our citizens. So he's a school resource officer. He's also a crime prevention officer. Well, I would hope they all are. And I want you to take a good look at these two fellas because it matters. They could be literally the reason that BK would walk. I'm just saying. Just walk right out of there. And if I were him, I'd feel pretty good about being exonerated after all this, especially the more people that know the ugly truth. Hi, Sarah Pagan. All right, you guys, let's go check out Shane Gunderson. I wanted to verify to you that he was a first responder, so I've gone to this Daily Express USA newspaper, and this was dated back right here, November 13th, 2023. So it was about a year ago. And it says, Idaho college murders, sickening discovery made by cops when they arrived at home. The first police officer to respond to reports of an unconscious person in an Idaho University house has shared gruesome insight into the killings 1 year on by Claire Anderson. May our beautiful Ethan and Maddie and Kaylee and Santa rest in peace. The article goes on to say, a year after the brutal murder of our 4 University of Idaho students, Sergeant Shane Gunderson has revealed what greeted him as he entered the house for the first time on November 13th, 2022. And we know the story from there. Hey, Lady D Lovely. That's right, I forgot. Sassy nailed it. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976. Allowances made for fair use, commentary, etc. Mad Maven, thank you, lovely. That's a beautiful snooper snap. It was a super chat. We always did that. Then we did snooper chat. Thank you, love. I appreciate you. All right, you guys. Sassy, are you ready for this? This goes deep, you guys. But if you're at this point, you've chose the red pill. You're going all the way. And after this, you will have your eyes wide open as to why Ann Taylor, that asks the questions she does, is seeking the information that she is, and what route she's taking in this trial. And you'll have a chance to draw your own opinion and see if this is a route we should be taking. All right? So you're familiar now. You've got this gentleman here, right? And that's Nanes, Deputy Nanes. And then we have this guy. And this is Gunderson. Deputy Gunderson. Nanes and Gunderson. I really feel this is one of those moments where, think of the house, 1122. You show up, the door is open, because that was reported. I actually got that verified. All right. Not only was it reported, like, to news people, but the officers said the door was open. I did find that in print. So they show up. They're coming in on that bottom level. They're heading upstairs, you guys. Now, let me tell you, everything their body cam is recording is priceless to getting justice for these individuals. Their integrity, their experience, their knowledge, everything is very dependent on these 2 individuals that enter that premises of being reliable, truth-telling, capable, and willing to do their job unbiased. No tunnel vision. Or we just can't get true justice. Now I want to introduce to you Deputy J. Waters. Now, Deputy J. Waters, I don't have any information on him other than he's going to be real important. He was not necessarily a first responder, but I'm also not talking about that case in the IDAHO4. See, there's another case, and that's going on the same time that the IDAHO4 are murdered. And it involves all 3 of them. So we've got Noons, Gunderson, and Waters. Moscow Police. These 3 here are all named in a First Amendment complaint demanding a jury trial. Not only were they named, but some resources also say Bill Thompson, the current prosecutor in Kohlberg's case. In visiting this Gov info, let me move it down a little bit that you can see better. GovInfo. It's an actual government site. 22-421-Wilson et al. Versus Moscow. Category: Judicial Publication. Collection: United States Courts Opinions. Doc number: Court type: District. Court name: United States District of Idaho. Circuit 9th. Office location: Moscow. Case type: Civil. Nature of suit: other civil rights. Cause: there you go, they're your rights. Parties named: listen close. We may, in the near future, hear these names again. Now, I'm going to say them wrong because I don't care. Maya Bustila, Shane Gunderson. And then it just says Lata County, so the county is also involved. City of Moscow as well. Moscow Police Department. Mitch Nunes, that's the guy I've been talking to you about. Keith Skoll. Bill Thompson, see that? Bill Thompson. Liz Warner. Jay Waters. SJW as the plaintiff. Nathan David Wilson and Roy Douglas Wilson, both plaintiffs. You can see that this was opinion and file date of August 21st, 2023. Let's dig into this a little bit further. How's everybody doing over here? Whew. Get ready, you guys. Now, this is about to take you on a place where at first you're like, ha ha ha, that's kind of funny, until you realize what the actual F serious this is. Let's start off by introducing it. We're going to call it the Stickergate case, because that's what Moscow locals call it. Let's just see a little bit about it. Moscow report. Moscow PD buries evidence in sticker case for more than a year. Look at the date, you guys. October 27th, 2021. Think about it. It was like a year and a week before the victims were murdered. So this problem was already in existence. And they were already deep in paperwork and red tape with all these claims and court hearings going on and suppression of evidence because of these officers a year before they entered the home as the first responders. Are you following with me? Hey, Patricia Parker, Michelle Atkins, Sarah. Hello, everybody. I think I said Sarah. Dana Lynn. Here we go. Moscow, Indiana. There is no credible explanation for MPD's failure to disclose this evidence as part of January 22nd subpoena response. Hold one moment, please. Forgive me. I had to cough. Defense lawyer Sam Creanson said about video evidence that was released last week at a hearing. The Moscow Police Department video is key evidence in the infamous Soviet Moscow sticker case. Sorry, there's somebody walking by. I'm going to mute a minute and I'll be right back, you guys. All right. I had to shut the curtains. Sorry about that. The Moscow Police Department video is key evidence in the infamous Soviet Moscow sticker case involving Nathan Wilson and his two sons, Roy and Seamus. The video evidence was released by MPD last week during a hearing which involved testimony from the MPD officers under oath. Stop right there. Reread that. This video evidence was released by MPD last week during a hearing which involved testimony from MPD officers under oath. So you're going to find out they did not tell the truth while under oath as officers, and they're the ones walking in 11/22 first. Goes on to say this hearing was determined the legality of the initial interrogation of the Wilson boys, and I say boys because one's a minor, a juvenile, by MPD back on October of 2020. Before the hearing and before going under oath, an MPD officer notified prosecutors that video evidence did in fact exist on the night of the sticker incident. Sergeant Gunderson, who was one of the first two MPD officers on the scene at the night in question, notified prosecutors that Officer Waters, who had been the responsible officer on the scene, captured video of the incident with his squad car's dash cam. Gunderson said that the footage was in MPD's system and that it had been in MPD's possession from the very beginning of the case. Stop right there. So a year goes by, and until they put Gunderson under oath, they lie. Let's continue. This footage had been illegally held back from the defense by MPD in the normal course of discovery. Despite public records requests, it still had been held back by MPD. Even when a subpoena was issued in January, it was still held back illegally by MPD. More than a year has now passed since Moscow City prosecutors and Latah County made history by filing the city's first ever criminal charges against someone for posting a sign or a flyer on a pole without permission. Thousands of signs and flyers and stickers have been posted on poles in the city before and since this incident. The incident happened in October of 2020, when the memorable red stickers that provoked prosecution read, quote, Soviet Moscow, enforced because we care. There's the sticker. Now, stop right there. Rumor has it that officers at one point told these people that they had to wear their mask, and they said it was against their religion, and then it went up a level. And there was this, like, you're going to be forced to wear your mask. And because of that, 2020, as we know, we had a lot of people that were upset. Well, these people made stickers because they felt like they were being controlled. And they were little kids, and they were putting the stickers up. And the cops got them. And the problem is, there's nothing illegal with them putting the stickers up till this point. So when the cops got them, Liz Warner, the city attorney, filed 13 misdemeanor charges about those stickers, you guys. Stickers. These kids had stickers against Nathan Wilson and his son Roy Wilson. And I'm getting worked up. Latah County prosecutors followed the city's lead in filing against a juvenile defendant now identified as Seamus Wilson. MPD officers stopped the Wilson boys under suspicion of placing the non-damaging stickers on poles in downtown Moscow. In the politically charged case that has come to be known by some locals as Stickergate, one significant issue has been between defense and prosecution over whether prosecutors were illegally refusing or simply unable. Now catch this is important. One significant issue has been between defense and prosecution over whether prosecutors were illegally refusing or simply unable to provide defense with any video or audio evidence of the evening when the officers stopped the Wilson boys. See? Did you catch that? Now that's where the real serious stuff gets. When all of a sudden the evidence disappears or it doesn't exist when it really does. And we're talking a juvenile. So now I don't find this funny at all. 13 misdemeanors doesn't work either for stickers. The debate about the video has now been settled by the MPD admitting that the evidence exists. Video and audio evidence surrounding the night is crucial because Roy Wilson was cuffed and interrogated without receiving a Miranda warning. And Seamus, remember, is a child, and Seamus was separated from his adult brother and interrogated, and I might add, completely alone without any representation nor parent, before and after he identified himself as a juvenile, without receiving a Miranda warning, without a lawyer or a guardian present. What exactly was asked and said, the length of time the boys were interrogated, and Roy's behavior before being cuffed and put on the ground are all key questions. Nathan Wilson, now that's the dad, was at home asleep at the time. After an anonymous, okay, we're gonna step into this humorous little bit here. Listen to this. Now, my dogs are my dogs, and we love our dogs. That is my Jack Russells, and they are playing. They have a toy they're playing tug-of-war with, and you're going to hear them. So if you're not a dog lover, then I invite you to go rewatch the edited version where I cut as much out as I can. Hold on just a minute. Gretchen, stay away from the boys. All right. Let's do this. I have to laugh, you guys, because anonymous locals got together and made this video about their own police department and the story. And they tried to put a comical swing to it. But keep in mind how really serious this is. But I do give them credit for doing what they did. And it's called Long Live Motherland. So it says, after anonymous video making fun of MPD. Now keep in mind, this is Moscow, Idaho, that they're doing the video about, even though it looks like Moscow, Russia. All right. So it says, after anonymous video making fun of MPD for burying evidence in the case appeared on Facebook, defense received a different MPD video with the citations being issued days after the fact. So this video helped. But video of the initial incident was not released. All right, are you ready to watch this? Here we go. Hopefully you can hear it. Give me a 1 if you can hear it. If not, then I'll have to hook up my other mic. I thought I was going to die when I saw that, you guys. Oh, my God. Whew. Wow. Okay, I swear to you guys, I did not pay my children to make that video. All right. So, hey, Wildfire. Let's see. When was this created? I am not sure, lovely. It's right in this 2021 time frame. Okay. Let's continue. It fits right in with what we're working on. So let's get back into being serious here, because suppression of evidence, especially the interrogation of a minor without a lawyer, without a parent present, is absolutely very serious. That better never be my kid, right? MPD officers have now acknowledged, keep in mind this is a year ago, under oath, that the second video has been tagged and stored in the same case file immediately next to the video file they had been withholding, and that they continued to withhold until just last week. So they held the evidence for over a year. In the interim, MPD repeatedly represented to the defense, to the court, and to the public that no video of any kind existed. Now, this is a quote by Mr. Wilson himself, the father. It says, "This was already textbook malicious and selective prosecution," Nathan Wilson said. Quote, "I'm glad people can post hundreds of flyers on poles searching for a lost dog, but the city clearly reveals it's prejudiced in ignoring those, but prosecuting us. And while I haven't been to law school, even I know that burying evidence and defying a subpoena is a much bigger deal than posting stickers." Indeed. This happens to be the actual poll in Moscow, one of the many public utility poles in Moscow covered in stickers but left alone by law enforcement. Not once in the history of Moscow has there been charges filed or any legal action for stickers on poles. Keith Scholl, the Latah County prosecutor handling the juvenile case, was not happy at all with the recent developments. Over the course of the last year, Scholl and the city prosecutor, Liz Warner, have repeatedly and falsely maintained to the court that the video evidence had not been provided because it simply did not exist. Stop right there. Like the two male DNAs, right? In the IDAHO4 case, simply do not exist. That's why they can't do anything about it, is the test results do not exist. Let's get back into it. Judge Meg Marshall correctly identified this claim as suspicious when she first heard it many months ago. Quote, "Sanctions may be in order," Scholl admitted to Judge Marshall at the hearing last week. Quote, "but this kind of thing does happen." He also said that the existence of the video was a complete... wait. He also said that the existence of the video was a complete surprise to him. Liz Warner didn't have a comment anyway. Defense was finally able to view the full 40-minute video the day before the hearing on the what does that say? Illegality of the interrogations. Quentin, can you help, please? One very significant problem with the video, no audio was included. So let me check and see what's wrong with her. Maybe she needs to go potty. I'm going to pause it, you guys. So sorry. All right. So let's continue. One very significant problem with the video was no audio was included. So after withholding the video of the interrogation of the minor for a year and his brother, they finally admit that, yes, there is a video. We weren't being honest. We do have the video. It was right next to this file. But there's no audio. So MPD now insists that no audio exists. And they say, Nathan Wilson, the father, says, we've never heard of that before. No pun intended. After finally viewing the long-suppressed video, defense counsel Sam Creason of Lewiston immediately reached out to both prosecutors under the assumption that they would be voluntarily dismissing the year-old case that have already been reduced to a single misdemeanor count. Quote, it is extremely disappointing to see that the officers involved not only knew of the evidence, but viewed it and maintained it, Creason said, or wrote. He had repeatedly raised questions about the, quote, absence of the video or audio evidence throughout the past year. Quote, a review of the video demonstrates why MPD did not want this evidence disclosed, Creason said. Quote, and I am hoping that we reach the day when this audio is produced. The officers' conduct that night was improper, and they had put the prosecutor's office in this position. Surprisingly, prosecutors are still determined to push forward, although Keith Skoll did find a motion to delay last week's hearing. Creason, however, wanted no further delay, preferring to get officers under oath immediately, so the hearing proceeded. In testimony, all three officers, hear the names, you guys, Nunes, Waters, and Gunderson. Nunes and Gunderson are the first responders in the Idaho case, all right, who were directly involved in the Stirker interrogations, testified to possessing recording devices at the time of the arrests. Two more officers passed through or near the scene, one of whom was also wearing a mic. The squad car that captured the video was also equipped to capture audio. No audio of that night has yet been produced by MPD. Sworn testimony and the MPD case file audit log also revealed that Nunes, Waters, and Gunderson at least had access and reviewed the footage of the incident in the last year, while the department was denying its existence. Quote, Keith's goal was obviously genuinely distressed that MPD sat on this evidence, Nathan Wilson said. Quote, I really do appreciate that, although I have no idea what he thinks the county gains from his continued participation in the city's little holy war. And I also appreciate Sergeant Gunderson's honesty prior to going under oath, although I wish someone in the department had blown the whistle 10 months ago. What happened next remains to be seen. MPD has offered no explanation or comment of any kind, nor have prosecutors. Now, the rest of this, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to let you go read it yourself. But that is the Stickergate case. Now, let me remind you of something. I worked for about 6 years on the Brendan Dassey Steve Avery case. A 16-year-old boy that was questioned without parents and without a lawyer. Brendan gave his first statement to the investigators 4 months earlier, the day after the victim, Teresa, her RAV4, her vehicle, was found. He told them he had no contact with her and had no idea what happened to her. But law enforcement chose, Manitowoc County investigators chose to go to his school, where his parents weren't, and he had no lawyer. And they took him into a room alone. And Brendan Dassey, at 16 years old, with only an IQ of 70 and language issues in special classes that are called IEP, was questioned and interrogated for hours without a parent or a lawyer present at his school. He eventually gave a false confession so that he could return to class and finish his science project. And let me tell you, the investigators yelled at this boy and they said, what happened to the victim? They said, why can't you? They said, what happened to her head, Brendan? What happened to her head? He said, I don't know. And the interrogators are on film said, who shot her in the head? And he said, he did. And that's how it all started. Brenda Dassey was convicted of the murder of Teresa Halbach as an accomplice with Steve Avery, with zero physical evidence in 2007, because he was interviewed without a lawyer and without his parents. He is serving to this day, to this very day, life in prison, with little hope of ever being released. And it breaks my heart every day. I know that case all too well. So if you think, well, this doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal, it's just stickers. No, ma'am. No, sir. It's a First Amendment complaint because of the interrogation of the minor without the parents or lawyer or Miranda rights being read. And it's abuse of power is the accusation. So we could get into this, but I just want to skip way down here. Oh, and by the way, here's all the places that they have evidence of the stickers, right? On the signs, all right? Look. And here's all kinds of other stickers and signs. This one's nailed trees right to the pole. Okay? Missing dog here, $500 reward. Back of signs. All right? And then here's a little bit of the video. You can see the light is being shined directly, very close to the individual's face. Right in their eyes as they're being interrogated. It even is showing other symbols that aren't, well, I'll just leave it at that. It's the white cross. You know what I'm talking about. Here, obey the cult. Sticker is on this one, right? Here's that other one for the white cross. There's other stickers that say all Kirks are bastards. There's some that say F-U-C-K, Christ Church. They're all over. So, let's get into, I want to go to page 20. Or is it a little before that? They basically interrogated these kids. Okay, first claim of relief. Here it is. And I'll be honest, it doesn't look good. He's got a little ski mask on. He's in shorts and tennis shoes. I mean, these are dumb kids, you guys. Freedom of speech and, retaliatory prosecution First Amendment. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference all stated paragraphs by reason of the aforementioned acts, ordinance, policies, practices, procedures, and or customs created, adopted, and enforced under the color of state law. Defendants have deprived plaintiffs of their right to freedom of speech in violation of their First Amendment as applied to the states and their political subdivisions under the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Defendants' actions are set forth in this First Amendment complaint. Injured plaintiffs in a way likely to chill a person of ordinary firmness from further participation in free speech activity. Plaintiffs' political and religious viewpoints and religious beliefs motivated defendants' adverse actions. Thus, defendants acted with a retaliatory intent or motive. Defendants targeted plaintiffs for disfavorable treatment and harassment because of plaintiffs' political or religious viewpoints and religious belief, as set forth in this First Amendment complaint in violation of the First Amendment. Defendants Defendants animus? Okay. Defendants' animus against plaintiffs' political and religious speech is content and viewpoint-based in violation of the First Amendment. The city ordinance as applied to punish plaintiff's speech as set forth in this First Amendment complaint violates the First Amendment. The city ordinance as applied to punish plaintiff's speech as set forth and you get it. You get it. It's a first, okay? So there's that one. So the freedom of speech is a big deal for us. We should be able to express ourselves in a religious way without feeling like the cops are going to, treat us biased in a negative way. Okay, boys, Play nice. Second claim for relief. Equal protection and selective prosecution, 14th Amendment. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference all stated paragraphs by reason of the aforementioned acts, ordinance, policies, practices, procedures, and or customs created and adopted and enforced under color of state law. Defendants have deprived plaintiffs of the equal protection of the law guaranteed under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Selective prosecution claims are premised upon the denial of equal protection. Accordingly, defendants' prosecution of plaintiffs deprived plaintiffs of equal protection guarantee of the Fourth Amendment. Defendants' enforcement of the city ordinance as set forth in the First Amendment complaint violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Fourth Amendment by denying plaintiffs access to a forum to engage in free speech based on the content and viewpoint of the speech with defendants' disfavor. Defendants have deprived plaintiffs of the equal protection of the law. As set forth in the First Amendment complaint, defendants have targeted plaintiffs for selective and disfavored treatment because of plaintiffs' political and religious viewpoints and religious beliefs in violation of the equal protection guarantee of the Fourth Amendment. So you get that one. All right, let's get down here. Boys, I know you're playing tug of war. Can you do it in the other room, please? They're like, what? We're just playing. Third claim for relief. Self-incrimination, Fifth Amendment. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference all stated paragraphs. By reason of the aforementioned acts, policies, practices, procedures, and or customs created and adopted and enforced under color of state law, the city and defendants Waters, Gunderson, and Muse have deprived plaintiffs of the right against self-incrimination protected by the Fifth Amendment as applied to the states and their political subdivisions under the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. As set forth, this First Amendment complaint defendants Waters, Gunderson, and Muse engaged in coercive custodial interrogation of plaintiffs Roy Wilson and S.J.W. without advising plaintiffs of their Miranda rights. And coerced statements were used in the criminal case in violation of the Fifth Amendment as applied to the states and their political subdivisions under the 14th Amendment. The city's acts and so forth, right? So they coerced them by not giving them their Miranda right and them being the one being a kid. They then took the statements and used them against the people that had said this, even though they had not given them the Miranda rights, the right to remain silent, right? Fourth claim for relief, excessive force. Now pay a close attention to this, you guys. Plaintiffs hereby incorporate by reference all stated paragraphs. And I'm not going to read that whole thing about the aforementioned acts, policies, and all that. The Fourth Amendment protects against unreasonable seizures, including the use of unnecessary and unreasonable force to accomplish the seize. Accordingly, the Fourth Amendment prohibits officers from using excessive and therefore constitutionally unreasonable force in the course of a seizure as arrest. Excessive force claims are analyzed under the Fourth Amendment's, quote, objective reasonableness standard. This requires a careful balancing of the nature and the quality of the intrusion on the individual's Fourth Amendment interests against the countervailing governmental interests at stake. As a result of the type and amount of force used against plaintiff Roy Wilson when he was seized by city police officers, assessed against the limited government interests at stake. The crime was plainly not severe. Plaintiff posed no immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others. The plaintiff was not actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. And in light of the totality of the circumstances as set forth in the First Amendment complaint, the force employed by defendants against plaintiff Roy Wilson was not constitutionally reasonable in violation of the Fourth Amendment. Defendants Gunderson and Muse used force against plaintiff Roy Wilson to harass him and in retaliation to plaintiff Roy Wilson's speech critical of the city. As a direct and proximate result of defendants' violation of the Fourth Amendment, plaintiff Roy Wilson has suffered irreparable harm, including the loss of his fundamental constitutional rights, entitling him to declaratory and injunctive relief and damages. Fifth claim of relief. We're going to forego the mentioned city ordinances. The city ordinance lacks explicit standards, thereby permitting arbitrary and discriminatory enforcement and thus impermissibly delegating basic policy matters to policemen, judges, and juries for resolution on an ad hoc and subjective basis, with the attendant dangers of arbitrary and discriminatory application, as evidenced by the facts set forth in this First Amendment complaint. Based on the city's policies and practices of enforcement and plain language of the city ordinances, plaintiffs' quote, Soviet Moscow protest decals are not, quote, advertising matter, as advertising is commonly and reasonably understood to mean attracting public attention to a product or business through paid announcements. The city ordinance abuts upon sensitive areas of basic First Amendment freedoms and thereby operates to inhibit the exercise of those freedoms. So in other words, they're saying that the city's trying to say that there's a law because these are, advertisements, but they're not selling anything, so they're not. So, goes on to say, prayer for relief. Wherefore, plaintiff asks the court to declare the defendant violation plaintiff's fundamental constitutional rights as set forth in the First Amendment complaint. B, to declare that the city ordinance facially and as applied to plaintiff's express activity as set forth in the First Amendment complaint is overbroad and vague in violation of the First and 14th Amendments. C, to permanently enjoin defendants' policy and or practice of selectively enforcing the city ordinance and targeting plaintiffs and other similarly situated persons based on their political and or religious viewpoints and religious beliefs as set forth in this First Amendment complaint. D, to award plaintiffs nominal and compensatory damages. I can't say it for some reason. E, to award plaintiffs the reasonable attorney fees, costs, and expenses pursuant to, and F, to grant such other and further relief as this court should find proper. Yeah. Over stickers? If stickers can enrate them that much that they return a prejudiced act toward children to the level that they would suppress evidence and lie under oath, what would they do if something more was at risk? Now, Bill Thompson, he's not off the hook here. He was the prosecutor too, okay? And we have this Shane Gunderson, and it should be Mitch Hayes. I don't know why I'm Mitch News, I guess. I think I got the name wrong. Forgive me. Let's change it. There. And Jay Waters. Is that the Brady Giglio? Because these guys have suppressed evidence, Brady, the audio, as well as the video for a year. Over something simple as a sticker by a child. You know what I would have done? I would have marched that child over to their parents' house, because obviously, or better yet, I would have been like, you get your dad on the phone, get him down here. Take it up with the dad. Take it up with the dad. If you don't like the stickers, be like, dude, we don't like those stickers. Please don't put them up. But to go to this level against a child that is vulnerable, need I remind you where that can lead? To me, that is predatorial. That is predatorial. Is this? I'm pretty sure it is, you guys. I'm pretty sure that our first responders in the Idaho case, in my humble opinion, are the Brady Giglio. I believe it's because they are being accused of everything under the sun, from lying under oath, suppressing video evidence, excess use of force. They still, to this day, I personally believe, to my knowledge, are suppressing the audio because they do not want them to hear. Because it gets into detail. They were swearing at them kids and all kinds of stuff. I read the full article before, the actual filing. It's ugly of an interrogation on a child. And the child is withheld even after asking for the dad. And the brother is saying, can I go to my brother? And they're like, no, we're not done with him yet. They went and got the father, or the father came, whatever. The father shows up and they still won't let him see his son because they told the father, we're not done with your son yet. And he's a minor. I am fucking pissed right now. Because I have no way to get this child, Brendan Dassey, out of jail after they went to his school without parent, without lawyer, and questioned him. And you know what the child said after? He said, yeah, I guess I did it. He said, can I go back to my science class? I have a project to work on. And they were like, no, Brendan, you're under arrest. He's been in prison ever since. Literally, from that moment forward. And they have the audacity to do this shit. So how can we trust them? Can we trust them? They're accused of lying under oath. They're accused of tampering with the video evidence, of detaining a child. This is about as serious as you can get. And these two are the ones that find the evidence. They're the first ones in that house. Can we trust anyone who abuses their authority over a child? This has just got me. My mind is blown. My mind is blown. So how deep does the rabbit hole go? Well, let's get into it. Search warrant for Kohlberger's apartment. Dawn Daniels states, now she's from Pullman. At the time, I think she was assistant chief at the time. Dawn Daniels states they will be searching for a knife sheath going into Kohlberger's apartment. Wait a minute. I thought they had the knife sheath. Right? So why are you searching for it? And the big question is, did they transfer Brian's DNA from his personal items from his apartment onto the knife sheath and plant it? Can we trust these two? I mean, think about it. It's touch DNA, trace DNA, transferable DNA. How much did they want to get this over with? Can we trust the evidence? Where were Deputy Gunderson and Deputy Nunes on November 13th in the wee hours early in the morning when their comrades were all clad in black? Or was it them on the Banfield in the unmarked police car? Which we're going to get into that very soon. But the biggest question I'm about to leave you with, who are the two unknown male DNAs that were found inside the house?